Hello friends, welcome. Friends, we all know that the telecom sector is losing competitiveness day by day, and the government of India is really concerned. They have been working very hard to revive BSNL and handhold Vodafone Idea so that it can survive. Lot of action has been taken in recent times by the government. The moratorium has been given. Vodafone Idea has been bailed out with some of their debt in terms of equity conversion, and BSNL has been loaded with a lot of cash so that BSNL can be empowered to deliver services. But irrespective of all this fact, you can basically see that there are a lot of concern about quality of services, right? Can you see that? Because there are many articles which says the government of India is concerned about quality of telecom services. TRAI is continuously coming out with new norms of quality of services. Then one article says in August that TRAI crackdowns on telecom on issued stringent quality of services, and there are various other issues which we all have experienced: call drops, and then poor quality of data, indoor coverage, etc., which clearly gives us an indication that even though a lot of claims have been made that the operators have been investing in network infrastructure, probably the infrastructure investment is not good enough, and that is why these kind of issues are cropping up day by day. Now friends, you must be asking that the telecom sector is probably one of the best sector of India's development, because it has contributed significantly to the whole digital economy, and that's why all these applications that the government of India is delivering to deliver services directly to the consumers, as well as there are other financial services like UPI is now considered as the reference for the world to look at India, that how India has done all these things which the rest of the world has yet to catch up. So all these things have happened. Still we are struggling, and the sector is in the brink of collapse from a competitive point of view. Now friends, today I am going to talk about something different which I have not spoken out earlier, but it is foundational to the discussion. And for that, friends, what I have done, I have created this Excel sheet. As I always do, I will talk only on data. Now, the Excel sheet is right in front of you. Now, how did I create this Excel sheet? And what is the purpose of this Excel sheet? Let's discuss that. The Excel sheet is an aggregation of this data, which TRAI puts out every quarter. This is called the financial report. If you go to the TRAI's website, and if you go here, let's say if you go down below and if you go to report, you will see that this financial report here, right? And this financial report, you can see a listing of all these financial reports starting from a long period of time. I think this goes back to 2007 and even before that. So friends, what I have done is I actually have an Excel sheet where I have listed down all these data which on a circle basis for various operators which TRAI has been providing in their website. And what it does, it captures the AGR, the APGR, the GR, and the spectrum and the license fee for all the operators till the current year, which is 2004, December. Till December, this number is available with me. Now, using this data, friends, what I have done, I have created this Excel sheet. Now, this Excel sheet is actually going to give you a lot of insight, which you might not be able to see through, because unless you have the data right in front of you, you will not understand that what is going on. So let's look at these years, because I thought that rather than going back to 2000, let's go till let's start working from 2007, because this data that I have is from 2007, right? If you go up below, I have it from 2007. So I started my calculation from year 2007. So I aggregated all the license fees, right, year-wise till 2024, spectrum fees which the government collected, total fees, and the present value of these fees, because these are yearly numbers and I have to calculate the present value using a discount factor. Now, how did I calculate present value? It's a very simple calculation. If you see this is this value, right, multiplied by 1 plus this value. I assumed a discount factor of 10%, which is reasonable enough, right? And then I use these year numbers for PV calculation, because if I have to calculate the present value of the funds or the license fee which were and spectrum fee which was collected in year 2007, I have to I have to ramp it up with a power of 17 because 70 years have passed. And this is the calculation and the total PV of collections, right? Of license fee plus spectrum fee in rupees crore is mind-bogglingly 7.5 lakh crores. Can you imagine this? Now it works out to be $88 billion, right? I have used 85 for conversion, which is 11.3% of the revenue, which is kind of ballpark range because roughly 8% license fee, 4% spectrum fee. There have been a lot of changes here and there in spectrum fee. So it should be roughly right now. So it is coming out to be that. AGR also have done the same thing, right? So if you do a PV of AGR using the same method, it comes out to be around 66.6 lakh crores, which is $783 billion. Now, we have to also have auction. Now, auctions have been, yearly auction values have been put in nominal terms. It adds up to this. And then if I do a PV calculation, this comes out to be 11.57 lakh crores, right? And that translates into $136 billion, right? And then we have AGR dues. Now for AGR, I have only taken Bharti and Vodafone. I haven't taken all the others because nobody is going to pay. Reliance was very, very marginal. So PV of AGR comes out to be 1.49 crores. Now, I could have used 8% for PV calculation, but in order for consistency, I have used 10%, right? Because like the interest rates on AGR is 8%. But doesn't matter. It comes out to be $18 billion. Now, if you add all this, $88 billion, $136 billion, $18 billion, the total collection, right, to the government is around $242 billion. Now, $242 billion, if you divide this by $783 billion, which is the revenue, which is the AGR, it comes out to be 31%. Now, friends, 31% has been collected by the government in terms of what? License fee, spectrum fee, AGR fee, and then auction fee, right? Have you ever, anywhere in the world, go to any place in the world and ask them, anywhere in the world, 31% of the revenues of the telecom industry goes to the government in terms of all these expenses, which are mostly license fee and spectrum auction fee. Even China gives spectrum fee. Now, after you have seen this, now you might be thinking that, oh, government of India has collected all this revenue and it must be spending it for the telecom sector itself. Like, for example, broadband connectivity, mobile connections in the rural areas where the operators are not interested in spending, right? That's the perception that people might be having. So let's look at that. So what I've done, friends, I've gone to the USO website. I'm going to show you the USO website. And in the USO website, where is it? Let me just see. This is the USO website. You can go on top of the USO website, Digital Bharat Nidhi. The USO has been rebranded as Digital Bharat Nidhi, and it kind of gives you a summary of what the balances are, the funds that have been booked, right, in the book value on a respective year, how much has been allocated and how much is balanced, right? So I have extracted this and I have put it in an Excel sheet on the next tab. So let's look at this now and let's see how much the government of India has spent, right? So because I started from year FY 2007, so I actually used that and I closed at FY 2024. So these are the collection, right? In nominal terms, this is the collection is 1.52 lakh crores, right? These are the funds which are allocated in nominal terms, which is 75, and funds disbursed is around 75 K crores. Now, let's do a PV calculation. So when I do PV calculation, it comes out to be 1.63 lakh crores of funds disbursed, and the balance is 1.62 lakh crores, which I am using the same thing, discount factor 10%, and then the same calculation. So which means in $1 billion, the total amount of funds disbursed has been around $19 billion, $19.3 billion, and in terms of balance, it is $19.2 billion. Now, of the total collection that you see here, I can show you, of $242 billion, right? How much has been consumed by the government from the USOF fund? 7.95%. Okay, 7.95%, which means rest of the value, let's assume it is 8%, 92% of the value of the license fee, spectrum fee, AGR fee, government has used it in some other sector, not for the telecom sector. So telecom sector has been siphoned out with that much amount of money, which is how much? Which is $242 billion minus around, let's say around $20 billion. So 20 is the USOF fund, right? Let's see whether it is correct or not. Yes, $20 billion they have spent, right? Which means how much is left out? $222 billion or $223 billion. So $223 billion the government of India has extracted out of the total revenue of $783 billion, right? Which is the total revenue from starting from FY 2007 till the end FY24, and given it to somebody else, not to the telecom sector, right? And now we are crying saying that the telecom sector is not able to survive. Telecom sector has become extremely uncompetitive. Telecom sector is giving us poor quality of service. There is no in-building coverage. There are only two operators. It was bound to happen, because if you go to anywhere else in the world, you will never find that 242, which is around 31% of the total top line, has been eradicated, demolished, and the government has taken the pie and invested in somewhere else. Okay, now let's understand one more thing. If you go to the world, all the other countries, typically there is a capex to sales without spectrum, roughly between 15 to 20%. This is without spectrum, by the way, friends, right? So 15 to 20% of your sale value, which is $783 billion, must be spent on infrastructure, on equipment, building your network, right? Now, India must be doing similar, maybe 15%, right? Because you know that after 5G, a lot of money has been spent. Let's assume that 15 to 20% of the amount is going for infrastructure, or maybe less. I don't know exactly how much. You have to ask the operator. So if you add 20% on top of 31%, 50% of the total top line is gone, right? For infrastructure, for spectrum, for license fee and everything. So operators are left with 50. Go to anywhere in the world. I can bet you and challenge you that any operator who is earning revenues will spend 50% of their top line in these items which I described. That is the reason why the whole telecom industry is collapsing, friends. That's the reason. That is the reason why the government needs to come out with some kind of policy to prevent the heavy taxation on the telecom industry. You can see right in front of you the numbers, right? Now, let's go to another aspect. See, India is a market which is very price sensitive. We know that, right? India is not like Europe or US where you can raise the prices and everything is going to become hunky-dory. What you can do, you can increase this number overnight to, let's say, $1.5 trillion. You can't. Why? Let me show you why you can't. Because we have to ask this question: is mobile services affordable for Indian consumers? So friends, what I did was I used the household expenditure all consumer services, which is from the Ministry of Statistics and Program Implementation, and saw that how much is the bucket of spend, which I have been talking about in many of my articles. It is 5.72% on consumer services excluding conveyance, and the rest of the items are different. So this is the only bucket that is left, which is 5.72% of the total spend. Let's say if somebody is spending 100 rupees, only 5.2% of 5.72% is 5.72 rupees is spent on consumer services excluding conveyance, which will include mobile phones, mobile services as well, right? So what I've done is, because I know 5.25% and for rural and 5.72% for urban. So what I've done is I've broken down across all the circles, right? This value, because I know the final number, final household expenditure for rural and for urban, which is for rural it is 4122 rupees per capita, and for urban it is 6996 rupees. So I can break it down on a circle basis for various circles. Then I apply this 5.52% and 5.72% to calculate that what is the absolute value for consumer services excluding conveyance for both rural and urban area. And then using the same report where the factorial classes are also given, it means what kind of, so if you look at this 4122 is the aggregated total for all classes. You break it down with different classes, which is given in the report, and using that, and I don't want to basically go and digress in this presentation, I have created this matrix. And in this matrix, you will see that different fractile classes, means different classes of people can afford different values of for mobile and communication services. And you can see that this is basically for the urban area, and you can see that hardly 90 to 95% of people can afford something more than 1000 rupees, means they are spending more than 1000 rupees in circles which are very, very affluent. So if 5% of the people are spending more than 1000 rupees, right, you can imagine that you can't even afford to raise prices to increase this value, this number of $783 billion. Because the price elasticity is not there, because our people are not that affluent, right? So you can't be taxing the telecom industry as if that you are US and Europe and expect that the services are going to magically increase, right? And you are going to get the best quality service, the best coverage, anywhere in the world. It's not going to happen. Right? You can clearly understand what is going on here. So that is the basic problem. That is the fundamental problem of our telecom industry. Right? It has been considered as a cash cow. And I will show you one very interesting thing which I wanted to talk about here, which is, let me just show you where it went. Yeah, here it is, right? So you can basically see that, you know that the Government of India's account consists of what? Tax revenue and non-tax revenue, right? Non-tax revenue typically has become a larger chunk, right? If you see that in all the financial year, let me just put it 0 here because this was not properly set. So, and then I will say budgetary estimate, that will give me the exact values, what is going on. So you can see that over a period of time, the non-tax revenue numbers have increased. And what are the contribution of this increase? So you can see here in the non-tax revenue, you will see dividend and profit, which is RBI's dividend and profit. So RBI has contributing, because whatever investment RBI does on their collections or their whatever money that they hold, and there is some interest which they earn, so which the Government of India, they give dividend and to the Government of India. Then economic service net, this is a very important contribution, which is basically consisting of all the license fee, auction fee which the Government of India collects. So it is almost like more than 1.5 lakh crores, right, for every year. Some years it is even more than that. It is 1.74 lakh crores. So Government of India is taking from the telecom industry and putting in the budget and maybe spending somewhere else. So telecom industry, which requires support, is not getting the kind of support because it is like an entity which is trying to feed into other entities which may require funds. That is understandable. But a sector which is so much has become so uncompetitive, right? You can't be putting so much amount of pressure, which is the foundational of the digital India stack, which is going to help other industries also to grow. So that is why it is so important that the Government of India preserves the telecom industry and does not tax the telecom industry to a manner that $242 billion, right, in present value has been collected of the total revenue of $783 billion. And on the telecom industry, only $19 billion have been spent. Only $19.3 billion has been spent, which is a matter of great concern, friends. That is why we have to be sensitive, right, about that the telecom industry needs the kind of support. The government is not doing any favor to the telecom industry. It is for their own survival. The whole digital India stack is going to get demolished if the telecom industry gets demolished. The quality of service will worsen. As time progresses, that quality of service is going to worsen. The Government of India is to now reduce the value of spectrum price, especially for the sub-gigahertz band. Otherwise, the telecom sector industry is going to get completely destroyed. And you will never be able to leverage the next generation technologies, which is 6G, 7G, because without using natural resources, which is the country's natural resources, which is not coming from, we are not importing from outside. It is our natural resource. It's lying waste. Spectrum, lot of spectrum is lying waste. They are being unutilized. So they can't be, because you have price spectrum like gold and platinum. And maybe some of the mobile operators want this to happen because they want the competitiveness of the telecom industry to decrease, because they want to maximize their shareholder value. This is not the way things should be in India, friends. So I thought of doing this video to give you a flavor of what is going on, right? And what the government of India need to do in order to revive the sector for its own interest and in larger public interest. Thanks for listening, friends, till the end. And I'll come back with a new video and a new topic next time. Thank you very much.